Hey guys, Coffee with Brodes is back starting March 28th, which is opening day. Join the Brodes Media membership here on YouTube for $4.99 a month, and you will have access to Coffee with Brodes live streams every Monday and Thursday at 11 a.m. It'll be laid back, super chill, and very interactive with the chat. Also, there's a Brodes Media Discord channel too that is currently active, where we will communicate when games are going live and talking about all the action as it happens in real time. Nothing is changing with the current pods. This is just an added bonus if you want more of this obnoxious asshole in your life. I'm looking forward to starting with Coffee with Brodes live streams March 28th, and make sure if you're interested, you grab your membership today. Thank you all so much for the wild and crazy support. Can't wait. Looking forward to it. All right, enjoy the show.
Brodes Media.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome on in to Bleacher Report. And wow, do we have a big offseason ahead of us with the Philadelphia Eagles. And it starts quickly. It starts even before this damn Super Bowl ended. By the way, Pat Mahomes is something else, huh? Andy Reid is something else, huh? Spags is something else, huh? It makes no sense. I want to be the Kansas City Chiefs. I want a dynasty. I want to know what it feels like to see back-to-back Super Bowls. Is that too much to ask for? I don't know. Yo, Howie, let's go. Make some decisions. And that's how we transition into today's topic, which is sort of looking ahead here at potential free agents. And I know it's a little early, but we're planting the seed. And really, a lot of this stems from people who were in your building this season that are potentially going to walk, and they are UFAs, and some may consider retirement. So, you got to look within before you can even look out. And that applies to this Hassan Reddick drama too, because remember, Hassan Reddick wants to get paid big boy money, and he sure deserves to get paid a ton of cash because he is a premier elite talent. The reason why it's important to the discussion today is if you were to elect to move on from Reddick and acquire, let's say, a second-round pick, which is what is projected by Pro Football Focus in a hypothetical, what can you do with that money that you're not going to pay Hassan Reddick with? Can you make more splashes in free agency? Bada bing, bada boom. That's pretty much the key question. All right, so I am going to start us off here with our Bleacher Report poll. Would you trade Hassan Reddick for a better free agency? I'm sort of torn. I would. It's not bad logic. I prefer studs. I definitely want upper echelon elite talent more than I want just guys. But because there's so many holes and Howie Roseman was so bad trying to gather talent for his defensive unit last year, I am 1,000% open to potentially signing 2 or 3 players to help out your linebacking core, to help out your safety core, to look at any area with your secondary. I'm cool with it. And even if you were to use a draft pick that you get back in return for a defensive end, then that can help sort of reshape and rebrand this new defensive unit because, well, Brandon Graham's status is currently unknown. Fletcher Cox and his status is currently unknown. You got to apply a bunch of talent surrounding Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis. And hopefully Jordan Davis could be a stud and keep up his weight. And whatever he did to challenge Josh Allen as he was running him out of bounds and catching up to that athlete, how can we get that on a consistent basis? You need internally to find ways, and you're kind of seeing a potential changing of the guard, if you will. So if you use the money and the assets to do it, I got no problem with it. I don't. It needs to be executed properly. Howie needs to get the right people in place, which could be your concern and could be your fear. But I have no issue with the logic and the idea and the plan and the blueprint. What they need to do, though, is just make sure you're getting the right pieces in place. I'd also keep Hassan Reddick. I would. I'd keep Hassan Reddick if you want to pay him. I know the report is along the lines of, hey, Go see what you can fetch out in free agency, and then we'll get to talking. Howie has done this in the past. Darius Slay, Fletcher Cox. The difference between this one and that one, or this one and those two, Slay and Fletch weren't as appealing to the market. Hassan Reddick will be appealing to the market. So just keep that in your back pocket as we move forward here. And okay, so let's get to some of your own free agents. Here's a list of the most important. Jason Kelce. Jason Kelce. I heard an interview of him talking, and it scared me because when he was asked about the Eagles, instead of saying we are talented. We have a lot of players in that locker room. We have a great ton of coaches. He said they. Yeah, well, they are going to be good still. Yeah, they did a good job bringing in Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio. Yeah, they. Since when is Jason Kelce a they guy? He's getting plastered left and right, blacking out, playing blackjack. I don't know if he blacked out or not, but I've seen him take his shirt off in a booth and start doing all kinds of crazy stuff. He's partying. He's an animal right now. And the door is still technically open. If you want to read into the potential, what did Travis Kelce say during his media availability thing? Well, maybe he cracked the door open, is pretty much establishing that, yeah, I think Jason still has some time left. I think Jason has the ability to put his hand in the dirt and still succeed. He's got some football left. Why would his brother say that? Is he just teasing us? Is he knowing that we are going to run with that and say, oh, baby, and making a pretty big talking point, making it a huge talking point here in Philadelphia? I can't roll that out. But why would Travis Kelce say that? He knows something. It's not a 0% chance Jason Kelce comes back, is my point, and we desperately need him. That is a huge drop-off. Don't try and let anybody convince you that it wouldn't be financially right or financially smart to put money into Jason Kelce coming back when you can use that in other areas. No. There's other ways to figure that out. He's the best center in football. You need your offensive line intact. Do I trust the Eagles to push buttons without him here? Absolutely. Jeff Stoutland's a machine. They have drafted year in and year out, it seems, right? It's not every single year, but it's a lot of years, the Jason Kelce replacement. Since I've been born, the Eagles have been drafting the Jason Kelce replacement. So there's no doubt that they are wired to get this thing right if Jason Kelce doesn't return, because eventually it will be one of those off seasons. But that's a free agent hire, a free agent selection, a free agent acquisition that you have to get done. They have to get done, and it's on Jason Kelce right now. But, man, if you're the Eagles, you do it. You do it. You don't play this stupid game where you think it would help you out better in other areas. No. You could talk me into that with the Hassan Reddick thing, but not the Jason Kelce thing. All right, how about Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham? BG wants to do his tour. The thank you so much. I appreciate everybody tour, and it's kind of hard not to allow such a big staple of your organization to do it. He had the biggest play in the Super Bowl. I guess you could argue the Philly special was the biggest play in the Super Bowl, but man, that strip shack, you're telling me that strip shack isn't up there as number one? I think it's number one. And what do you do here? I don't think he's got a lot left in the tank, even in a rotational piece. So if you remove the emotions from it, it doesn't make any sense at all to bring back Brandon Graham unless you bite the bullet just because you feel obligated and that he has that level of connection. But as Howie Roseman once said, you can't get attached, all right? You got to make a business decision at times, and it will be difficult. It will be harsh. I'm more willing to bring back Fletcher Cox. I know some fans are tired of that. I know they're bothered by some of the old faces, and they think it needs to all be removed. But Fletch still has good ball left in him. I'm not comparing him to the 23 version of Fletcher Cox or the 24-25 version of Fletcher Cox in age, but I'm looking at what happened last year. Fletch is still a dog in there. He still provides a level of respectful NFL defensive interior lineman play, and I value that. I would bring back Fletch over BG, but it seems like it might be BG for the tour, and maybe Fletcher Cox goes elsewhere if he's still putting on the cleats. There was a podcast recently I think he joined where he's touching on the the Pittsburgh Steelers, or maybe he would like to do that. I don't know. But I would bring Fletch back. If I'm looking at free agents, it's bringing back Kelsey. It's bringing back Fletcher Cox. Those are two important names. I could live with a new backup quarterback, Marcus Mariota, whatever, the Gardner Minshews of the world, whatever. I mean, you kind of get one of those vets who've played before, who's been in starting situations before. So if you need to rely on them for a game or two, you have someone who's able to sort of hold the fort down when Jalen Hurts is recovering, taking the time, putting in his rehab, whatever it is. But you do need a backup quarterback. I'm cool if it's in that range, again, of a Mariota type. The Eagles sure do put a lot of stock in that position, more than most organizations, though. So it is what it is. Yo, these running backs, DeAndre Swift, his year, statistically speaking, did wow. What do you do if you're Howie Roseman? Would you bring back DeAndre Swift? I mean, I would. I would think about it. Yeah, I would. Boston Scott, same thing. I think they underutilized Boston Scott last year, and they overutilized Kenneth Gainwell. But knowing the history of this organization, they're truly not going to really buy in to that position at all. They'll hopefully, as we look at some of these non-Eagle free agents, look for, I don't know, a linebacker. How about Van Ginkel? How about Jerome Baker? If you just want to look at the ties of Vic Fangio and who he knows around the league, is there something to that? Would you ever believe Howie Roseman goes that route is the real question. I just hope that this year was sort of a wake-up call for Howie. Like, we have to somewhat shift a little bit. There were times where we could get away with sliding a safety profile and someone who has the body structure of a safety, put them more in the box, have them play a level of a linebacker role. It doesn't work anymore. You need playmakers. You do. You need playmakers. You need legitimate options at linebacker. Someone keeps bringing up to me, well, what was Nigel Bradham to you? Nigel Bradham was a real linebacker. That's what he was. He was a real, legit linebacker. He's not Nate Gary. He's not Nakobe Dean. And I'm even putting Nakobe Dean in there. Two totally different styles. But I'm saying, Nigel Bradham was a real, legitimate linebacker. What do you want me to say? I'm not asking for the best linebacker to ever exist. You had slop. You had garbage. Patrick Queen, Levante David, let's go. These are the free agents and the style guys I'm looking for. I want impact players. They make plays all over the field now. Remember, Vic Fangio, safety's high. Don't get beat by the explosive play. Let's think this out for a second. If that's what we are going to do, and I think I'm sick of it. We've done plenty of Vic Fangio type of guys, the Gannons, all that stuff. I'm sick of it. But here we are again. If they are not getting beat over the top, and then there are throws underneath, whether it's a pitch and catch, whether it's more along the lines of a mediocre pass, meaning in the middle of the field, but 20-something yards, maybe not the 40-yard big bomb, but it's significant. It's a 10, 12-yard gain, not just a pitch and catch on a quick slant and let someone do work with the football in their hands. Who's making the tackles? If you're playing deep and you're allowing throws underneath of the deep routes, linebackers have to make tackles. Linebackers and others have to help out in coverage. You do need some help in coverage, too. It doesn't help out that James Bradbury's toast. So do they do this? This isn't technically free agency, but it's the way of Eagles thinking. It's the way they normally try and engage with certain players if they don't feel like spending the big cash, because more times than not in free agency, you're giving extra money. You're giving extra years. You're doing something a tad bit uncomfortable just because you want to get the player in your own house. So do you trade for somebody and technically use this as a free agent addition on their final year of their deal? Do you do something similar with C.J. Gardner-Johnson, get him in here, let him do his thing, and then, I know that C.J. G.J. thing got ugly towards the end, and then he was with the Lions. It got weird for sure, but can you do that with a Rasul Douglas? Can you do that with somebody? Rasul Douglas, out of all names, you go after a Rasul Douglas to come back. James Bradberry can't return, though. That's what I do know. That's what I'm 1,000% sure I do know, is you can't plug James Bradberry back there with Darius Slay. It's just totally unacceptable. Can you look to bring in a corner, some help there, even linebacker, any position, but utilize that method? I like that idea. Rasul Douglas is a name that maybe bothers some because of what he once was, never panned out. Keep in mind, though, the Jim Schwartz thing, they're asking Jalen Mills not to get toast on a double move. I thought they asked Jalen Mills to do a lot. I don't know if Rasul Douglas at that time had the confidence, the swag. He goes to Green Bay. He does the Buffalo thing. Now there's some spark around his name. Is that someone who can come back, contribute, and be a dog? And I think he would actually have a pretty good relationship with the fan base, believe it or not, after what he's done in other cities. But here's some other potential UFAs. And we'll go with the wide receiver because Quez Watkins cannot return as your number 3. Here's 2. Tyler Boyd and Curtis Samuel. Nice third option. Good, solid, sound professionals who can catch the football if it hits them in their hands. I can't say that right now about Quez Watkins. I can't say that right now about your third options after A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. What I would like to do is get more active with Dallas Goedert, quite frankly. I think he could be a star in the same conversation as what A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith do on a week-to-week basis. Why can't Dallas Goedert be more effective there? Let's go, Kellen Moore. I can't wait to see just everything. Play action from under center. Let's not try and get too predictable. Let's filter in more things so now the defense is on their toes and they constantly have to wonder what's going on here. I love that idea, and I'm praying that Kellen Moore can help out. But can Dallas Goedert do that? And if that's the case, think about Tyler Boyd. Been around a long time, has played a ton of football, experienced, knowledgeable. I'm sure he's great in the room too, in a fractured room that is going through a lot of turmoil and some change and trying to kind of reestablish themselves after a downfall. Dude, I had to watch Nick Sirianni clips nonstop on social, and good for the people that are just annihilating him because he truly went on the road, beat Kansas City, had some words for the fans, and then that team goes and wins another Super Bowl. They're iconic. This dynasty is amazing, and Nick Sirianni's playing Tommy Toughnuts after a regular season win. You should get destroyed for that. You should get mocked and obliterated publicly just from a fan sense of ripping it. Dude, you look like a clown. And that's the clown that is supposed to be leading the troops. What is it going to be like? Well, I'm a little nervous, I'm not going to lie, because I don't know if I would respect a guy that basically went into a meeting with Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie and said, fine, take my power, strip my power away because I just want to keep my job. Do whatever you need to do. You want Kellen Moore? Fine. You want Vic Fangio? Fine. Do what you please, and I'll just be here standing and nodding my head. I'll peek my head in the defensive room. That's true. This all really happened, and I'm sorry for getting sidetracked, but it just bothers me that that's the case, and that's the route they decided to take. And if you're Tyler Boyd, help out in the room is my point with the fractured environment, all right? How about that? Curtis Samuel maybe say, yeah, what's going on down there in Washington? You got any info? Although they got a whole new fresh regime, so forget about it. Sometimes you bring in someone from Dallas. Oh, I was on Dallas's team for 1 week. I started on the practice squad. Let's bring them in. Yo, sit down for a second. Let me pick your brain. Let me hear a little bit about what McCarthy likes to do. Let me ask you about what he's preaching. You know what I'm saying? Let's tap into that mind. We've seen that happen all around the league. So, essentially, though, if you haven't noticed, a lot of the focus needs to be on defense. You need help at linebacker. You need help at safety. Zach Cunningham out of here. Justin Evans out of here. You need help. And I would love a Jerome Baker. I'd love a Patrick Queen. I'd like a Levante David. Any of those names, Van Ginkel. I'm just throwing some names out there. It's very early in the process. And then for wide receiver, a Boyd situation, a Curtis Samuel situation, but it really all does stem from what do you do with Hassan Reddick, because that changes the game. That changes the game completely. It gives you way more flexibility, and so does Jason Kelce. The combination of the two, think about the difference from a financial state on what you have to work with. I prefer Kelce coming back. You could talk me into trading Hassan Reddick. It's just, what do you do with the alternative? Because if you're not going to keep the special elite talent, especially in an area that this organization loves, you love pass rushers. Pass rushers are real. And I'm not buying into the fact that he had a downward spiral towards the end when the second Matt Patricia took over, one of the worst DCs I've ever seen. Everything looked that bad. Drew Lock was toasting everybody on 90-plus yard drives. No. That's not Hassan Reddick. No. That's not Hassan Reddick. Hassan Reddick's one of the most premier edge rushers and just rushing the quarterback guys in the league. So you want to keep him? Fine. But if you don't, you better clean up heavily this defensive side. All right, so it seems we got some votes towards the would you trade Hassan Reddick for a better free agency, getting some 2 thumbs up on the yes, which is it surprising? No, I don't know. I feel majority of fans want to keep him. But is it surprising? No, not necessarily, because it's not irrational. It's not a knee-jerk reaction to potentially wonder what else can be done when you have these many issues. It's all because of we've seen the roster and we're pretty much aware that it's a disaster on the defense side. You need multiple different swings at it, multiple different additions. And how can you do that? How can you set yourself up for multiple additions? Well, get rid of one of your best players, but then you're getting rid of one of your best players. It's a double-edged sword. All right. That's where we end today's show as we kind of look ahead here. Those are some names with the running backs, DeAndre Swift. Some of it's in-house already. Some of these questions are what was already in this organization. So don't lose sight of that either. All right, everybody. I appreciate you guys hanging out here on Bleacher Report, and I will catch you guys all in a couple of weeks.